Let's face it. Out of all the different aspects of running a remodeling business, marketing is the one area that gives you hate shivers to even think about. There's so many different voices chasing after your money. There's so many different things you could do. And there's so many other things that you need to be focusing on in your business that marketing usually gets thrown in the pile of head-scratcher topics that you've just come to accept that you'll never really understand, let alone master. It sits right there next to understanding the opposite sex and trying to figure out why people always drive so slow when you're in a hurry. There's just no rational answers that exist. Here's the good news. There are really only 4 essential things you need to understand to win at marketing. Just 4. On this webinar, you'll learn what the 4 things are, why they're so important, and how to start down the path to mastery. Yes, mastery. These 4 things are sequential. You must do the first one first, then the second one, and so on. No cutting corners or the whole thing won't work. Read between the lines. If you don't have number 1 right, and there's a 99% chance you don't, you're always going to struggle with your marketing. So let's start with number 1, which is standing for something, forging a discernible, specific company identity. The fact is, most marketing looks exactly like everyone else's marketing. It's a huge jumble of hyperbole, fluff, and black hole nothing words. Your ads and websites scream, we're better, we're different, we have higher quality, we sell for less, our workers are more experienced, and so forth. To stand out from the crowd, and stand out you must, you have to let the marketplace know in powerful, precise, and passionate language exactly what you do that makes you worthy of deserving their business. On the webinar, you're going to learn everything you need to know about identity, why having one is imperative, not just important, but imperative, how to go about forging one, where and how to utilize it, hint, everywhere, and several before and after examples of companies who have implemented this. So, number 2, winning the battle of the now buyers. Before you ever buy a single newspaper, magazine, radio, or television ad, or send a single mailer out, you need to first concentrate on fishing where the fish are. Think about it for a minute. When somebody decides they want to remodel their kitchen or buy new windows or siding or whatever it is you sell, they go to the internet, they look around, they check companies out, they compare and contrast, they try to educate themselves and so forth. That's not really news to you, but you need to understand internet marketing is a zero-sum game. There's a finite number of people looking, and they're going to either buy from you or from your competitor, but not from both. You've got to make sure that the prospects, A, find you, and then B, decide to contact you. This is where search engine optimization, SEO, and pay-per-click advertising, PPC, come into play. This isn't rocket science, but you do have to understand the fundamentals of how to make these things work. And when the prospect does find you on Google, you've got to say the right things on your site to outcompete your rivals. Learn it all on this webinar. So let's go to number 3, which is preconditioning prospects to lower sales resistance. Many remodelers put all of their selling eggs in the sales guy basket. Not smart. Even if your salesman is great, and good luck at cracking that 80-20 rule, there's still a ton of obstacles to closing a deal on the first call. To name a few, number 1, prospects really don't know how much what you're selling should cost, so no matter what you quote them, it's going to sound expensive. Number 2, they've got more sales appointments lined up tomorrow or maybe yesterday, and they feel like they really want to shop around first. And number 3, they know that contractors have a bad reputation, and therefore they don't want to make a quick decision that they might regret later. The answer is pre-positioning. Simply put, you've got to educate prospects at every single step, from the first moment they see your company to the minute you show up on their door or in your showroom, as the case may be, to absolutely know that you're the best choice to do business with. This isn't about sending a flimsy brochure over. It's a lot more comprehensive than that. It starts with forging a strong identity, like we already talked about, then putting that identity into your website, which we already also talked about, then sending a series of emails to point certain specific things out to them, as well as sending them a report or booklet to help them evaluate contractors. We call this a contractor standards guide. Proper prepositioning will increase closing ratios, raise sales prices, and shorten sales cycles, and you'll learn how to do it on this webinar. So let's go on to number 4 now, which is investing your profits in relationship building advertising. Now, if and only if you spend all the money you can on your website, your SEO, your pay-per-click, and your pre-positioning like we just talked about, now and only now you're ready to start advertising. If you're a smaller company and you spend all your money and you don't have any left, then you shouldn't be advertising at all. By definition, advertising is targeting lower probability prospects, so you have to expect higher costs and lower return on investment, especially at first. But if you've done everything else correctly, you'll be making enough money to be able to invest. And I want to use this word one more time, invest money in advertising that's going to come back in spades later. This is not an endeavor for the inexperienced, the faint-hearted, or for those who are teetering on the edge of solvency. You shouldn't be advertising if that's you. Advertising should, first and foremost, be used to build a relationship with a targeted prospect base in the marketplace. The proper choice of media is absolutely essential. The wrong ones are going to kill you. The proper wording for messaging is also essential. Think about your identity for a minute. Plus, you've got to know how much money to spend, how frequently your ad should appear, and what your ROI expectations should be. All of this is going to be covered on the webinar. So by way of review, the 4 things are: number 1, standing for something, forging a discernible, specific company identity. Number 2, winning the battle of the now buyers. Number 3, preconditioning prospects to lower sales resistance. And number 4, investing your profits in relationship building advertising. It sounds like a lot, I know, but remember, there's just 4 major principles and you'll be familiar with all of them by the end of the webinar. So join me and prepare to expand your marketing horizons.